going on?
Hello.
Jessi in the house. So for those that are tuning in, thanks for tuning in to the live edition of the show. Obviously, we're going to be recording this and put it on YouTube. So once again, my name is Dweh, and this is my co-host, Jessi. How are you, Jessi?
I am doing well today.
Good. How was your week?
It's been a crazy week.
Right?
I had a heart procedure, so it's been a crazy week.
No, I get it. It's been a very crazy week with all the headlines and the stories and the White House. And
I've been on
everything.
bed rest just watching it all happen right now.
Yeah, I know you said you, I don't know if you want to mention it or not, but you, had some, surgery, right?
So yes, I had a procedure where they make an incision in your thigh through the main artery, and then they implant a clamp, is what they call it, that goes around a hole in my heart and shuts the hole.
Whoa.
So that my heart can function properly.
That's impressive. You're
It's
a G.
a technique.
Go through that and then hop on live. You are a G.
Well, I've been pretty stuck on bed rest, so I mean, boredom.
Right. She's like, let's do some stuff. All right, cool. So we're gonna start the show off with the first topic is abolish the police. That is a huge order. So
yes.
For the last, I would say, week and a half, that's been a trending topic on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Everybody saying abolish the police, abolish the police. Some people are saying defund the police. Some people are saying it's like different names. So just to kind of give you guys a distinction between the two things, what abolishing is and what defunding is. So when it comes to defunding, what they typically do is they take a certain amount of money from the police and they put that towards community-based services. So a lot of people don't know this, but police deal with mostly a lot of different stuff. They deal with mental health patients. They deal with getting people's dogs. They deal with all kind of stuff. So a lot
that they aren't qualified for. They do a lot of things they aren't qualified for.
That too. Yeah. So instead of sending somebody in there with a gun to deal with something that can actually be dealt with someone that's a specialist, like a health worker or someone that's qualified to do the job, yes. They want to say, let's defund. Let's take that money that would have been set aside for the police and put it towards a new department, fund it, hire people. And then when people call 911, they'll send that person out to deal with it instead of sending a cop out, and they just don't know what they're dealing with, and they just hurt the person, or they make matters worse, or they don't even show up sometimes. Because sometimes most of the calls they get, they don't even show up to those calls. So some people are saying, oh, but if we take money away from the police or get rid of the police, then things are going to go crazy. Well, the police don't deal with active crime. They usually deal with a crime that's already happened. They come there to take a report, and then they go investigate. So you're actually not going to be missing out if we get rid of the police. Now, when it comes to abolishing, which is what I want to happen, I want them to completely, over a period of time, defund the actual. I'm sorry, not defund. Take away money from the police. Actually, defund it, and then once it's completely defunded, abolish it. Meaning we don't need the police anymore in any other 50 states. Because, like I said before, a lot of problems that we have, they don't solve them. They either come in after the fact, or they come in and they don't know what's going on, and they de-escalate it instead of making it less of an issue. So, what's your take on that?
A lot of people are concerned with the idea of abolishing the police being that crime rates will go higher, or that things will just be chaos, when we're talking about specifically creating specified organizations for each of these types of issues. A friend of mine had posted a meme today talking about how if you abolish the police, what are you going to do when your house gets robbed? And the reality is, and she posted, that when your house gets robbed, the police don't come in time to catch a robber.
No.
They come in, they make a file and a report. They file a report on what it is that is missing, and they get, a description of the person. There's no actual, the cops don't come and save the day while your house is being robbed.
No. I mean, that would be amazing, but they don't do that.
No.
So typically, they'll give a report. When you take that report, you give it to your insurance company if you have insurance on things in your home, which most people do. And then your insurance company will allocate money to whatever's there to help you hopefully make yourself whole or partially whole with what you've lost. So once again, you do not need the police. I just don't see it as a need anymore because we like our last show, we talked about where they came from and how they were established. So now we need to move towards, we need to reimagine, like just imagine a rainbow going over my face when I say that. So just reimagine.
Have you seen that meme that's floating around about the police and like how the police need to be as qualified as social workers, and the social worker responds like a Twitter, and the social worker responds and he's like, we handle people who are autistic, like grown adult male autistic people, and we have to, you know, aggressively like manhandle this person.
Mm-hmm. And they don't kill them.
Like, while they're being volatile, and he's like, and we don't have guns, so what's
right.
the excuse? And that's
exactly.
There's no excuse for somebody with a gun to run around.
No, you're right. And this another really good example is, I think a few years ago, when de Blasio was having issues with the cops, they actually said we're just going to stop answering certain calls, and all of a sudden they thought crime was going to go crazy. But actually, crime actually dropped that entire summer because they didn't answer stuff. So people were not like. It's just more and more stuff coming out showing that we don't need it. And actually, there's a city in New Jersey that decided to defund their entire police, actually abolished it, and they started over. So they created this program where they get calls like they were, like I said, call 911. They'll send out a specialist, and they will handle the situation. And they've noticed that crime has actually dropped tremendously in their city since they've done that. So we have to just really try to accept this new movement because it's not going to stop. People are tired. I'm tired. I know you're tired of seeing this all the time. I'm really tired of having this pop up where someone's calling for cops or cops just harassing people because they have quotas. Like, why did they even have quotas? Like, it's like ticket quotas. It's just wrong.
Right. Like they're one of the like largest funded corporations in America, and they have a certain amount of money that they have to, you know, incite for every single state and city, so that like that doesn't even why if they're funded well enough, why do they have a certain like quota that they have to meet? Plus, I mean, how many endless crime reports are created by Karens?
Yes,
like totally like irrelevant. Like if you take away that access to abuse that white privilege, then you're going to have a lower crime rate anyway.
Exactly. That's why like, it's best for us to just accept this new normal. It's already happening in Minneapolis. They voted to actually abolish their police, so they're going to create a new program to, you know, just phase out.
I think it'll bring communities closer together. And
Exactly.
I think it's really important for us to like I live in a neighborhood where I talk to a couple of my neighbors, but we never like leave the house to go hang out with your neighbor, and like communities definitely need to be tighter and like more trusting of each other, and I think this will create that environment.
It will. It's like because you're gonna have people from neighborhoods getting involved in the community program. And people are voting on stuff and, you know, fix things as a community. It's going to be a lot better. We're going to get back to the, well, I don't know what we're going to get back to because we've never had.
We're not getting back to anything.
It's going to be something different. Yeah, we're going to move forward.
We're creating
something that's, like I said, we're going to reimagine. So
reimagine.
I'm looking forward to it, and let's just keep it going. So the next topic we're going to talk about is something really interesting. It's called the Earn It Act.
Absolutely outrageous. I mean, I think it's bonkers. It's bonkers. And it is a total like illegal concept. And I was reading a lot of articles on the Earn It Act and about how this does take away that freedom of speech that people like to claim they have when they're doing unnecessary things. This is the internet. We're talking about taking away encryptions, which is like there's no more secrecy to your private life. And granted, like, it's the idea that we're going to catch predators easier, but we're using these profiling programs that do not profile specifically Black Americans' faces like properly. It's like there was that whole argument with AOC. Like, she fought against this because the profiling is not accurate.
No.
So now we're going to run around and we're just going to claim that every single person is someone they're not. Like, they're already doing it on the street.
Exactly.
Like, profiling's already happening on the street. There's so many
software doing that now.
Yeah.
We definitely don't need no software doing that for people. That's just going to make it worse.
No, yeah.
It's just horrible. That's why
the problems with the computer is based off of, the user. So
yeah, exactly. That's why I'm so happy that Lindsey Graham his seat is now available to be lost. Hopefully he loses it this November. So the person that he's going up against has raised more money than him. So hopefully, and if he wins, he'll be the first. Like, that'll be the first time two senators that have African descent are both going to be running a state, which is going to be pretty cool. So, running that state particularly is what's going to be pretty cool. So it's a lot of history-making things coming up this election. So
this Earnest Act also, as I'm looking at notes here,
mm-hmm.
This Earnest Act also violates the Fourth Amendment by not
what's that?
requiring a warrant to have on probable cause to then
mm-hmm.
access someone's information, and this violates that as well. So having that back door isn't forcing probable cause or having a court-issued warrant in order to access your information. That's like, it's basically like legalizing, hacking.
Pretty much.
But for a really corrupt justice system.
Correct. And you know who's pushing this hard? William Barr. William Barr. Every time I hear that name now, it reminds me of Joseph Merkel's. The guy used to work with Hitler. Like, he did some horrible stuff. So, like, William Barr, he just pushed through this new legislation where now they can go into your browsing history on your phone without a warrant also. So they just want to keep taking away people's rights. So they make it easier to concept.
And like, we're already struggling with a nation that has a lot of mental issues, especially mm-hmm. because of the society that we were brought up in, mm-hmm. that has really like traumatized a mass of multiple generations. And now, like, there's so many people out there that are like, the CIA is watching us.
Yeah.
And the FBI is watching us. And it's always like, oh, you're just a bunch of conspiracy theorists. But like,
but now it's like true now.
We're here. Yeah. And it's like, we're being put in this position where it's like people are trying to vote against our privacy. It's violating.
It's horrible. Like, it's like, when is this going to stop? That's why I want to bring to you guys' attention, because we want everybody to know when it's time to vote. If you see that on there, vote against it, because it needs to not become a thing. We need to call your senators. Like, if you're I'm in Las Vegas, so I'm going to make my phone calls. If you're in any state, make your phone calls. Make sure that they don't pass this. We don't want it. We're not going to, it's just not cool. Like, I'm sick and tired of them every year coming out with some new thing to try to erode our rights, because they know we all have devices and we carry them with us. So they want to just.
They're literally our livelihood.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is hacking to their phones. It's like, no. So, I'm just tired of it. So I'm happy that Apple was really against what happened a few years ago when they were like, no, we're not going to give you a backdoor into our phones. So they're a customer security, because our customers are important to us when it comes to security. I was happy about it. If they'd said no, I would have probably stopped using Apple phones. But because Apple did that, I stuck with Apple phones. Android, they don't really care, which really sucks. But
I mean, if you think about it, everybody has that conspiracy theory that Bill Gates is just trying to, stick microchips in all of us, but we're literally creating a microchip around all the time.
That right there is bonkers. Every time someone says, I'm just like, Bill Gates is not trying to do that. I'm just like, there's so much.
But you're already chipped. You're already chipped.
Yeah, you have a cell phone.
You're carrying around a chip with you everywhere you go.
Right. You have a cell phone. You have a cell phone, a tablet.
Or like some sort of backup, like data resource. It's already there.
I just don't get people's mind. They just, that's why Facebook is very toxic when it comes to conspiracy theories. I'm surprised no one on Facebook is talking about the Internet Act. No one knows about the Internet Act on Facebook because I don't really hear about it. I found out about it off of TikTok, and I looked into it to see if it was real, see if it wasn't some conspiracy. I was like, this is actually a real thing. So I was like, holy crap, we need to like talk about this. It's important. So I'm glad we're talking about it. Again, people know about it, so we can keep them informed, because this is really crazy that they keep trying to erode our rights when it comes to privacy, which is really scary. So we got to keep people informed. So the next topic we're going to jump into is, this is going to be a big one. The Civil War was over slavery. The most of us probably know that already, but for some reason, some of us don't.
I would hope so. Like we discussed that before. It's like the concept that, I mean, I went to the same like public school system. You there? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, that. My understanding of the Civil War was like, even at a young age, was that it was over slavery. That's literally like the #1 topic when it comes to Civil War.
But for some reason, some Americans think that it was over property, and what they understand is, yes, but the property we're talking about was humans. Yes, you're right. It was over property, but the property we're talking about was humans. It was not just their houses or their cows or whatever. It was over humans, giving them free labor. Yeah. That was wrong. And then there's an awesome video that I'm going to post in the link up below if you're watching this on YouTube, where it's going to show you this guy. He actually breaks down the Constitution from the Confederate. And it literally says in their Constitution, there's a line that really stuck out to me saying that if they win the war and they have their Constitution become the Constitution of the land, they state that no law can be created to try to abolish slavery. That was in their Constitution.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I mean, the concept of the Confederate flag still flying in places is outrageous. It's outrageous because that's
so disrespectful.
It's the Confederates made the first attack to maintain property ownership of humans, and that flag is still waved in multiple places. Like, and it's not new. It's never disappeared and come back. It has consistently been a flag that has been represented to maintain oppression.
That's it. That's all it is. That's why I'm so happy. A lot of people I'm glad this movement happened, because now people are waking up. NASCAR just announced today that they're going to get rid of the Confederate flag. The Navy, which was really shocking to me, says they're not going to fly them. I was like, why are you flying in the first place? Like, why was he even there?
That's outrageous. I mean, I'm not a NASCAR fan in any way.
Yeah, me either. But I mean, the Navy.
But still, it's a huge step.
Massive step. So I'm like, we have to do more of that. Like even the Dukes of Hazzard. Like Dukes of Hazzard has it on top of their hood of their car. They need to take it off there too. Yeah. Like I know it's a fictional show, but I saw this post today where someone had to, I guess, have an art piece in their house where the car is like jamming to the floor, and that's an art piece. I'm like, you need to remove that flag off of there. You know?
Well, I mean, it may have
even in some U.S. states, they have the actual Confederate flag within their flag. I don't know if you noticed that. On some states, they have the Confederate flag within.
I have.
I don't know if it's Alabama. I can't remember what state it is, but they have the Confederate flag within the flag. They need to redo those flags over.
Yeah, I mean, are they a part of this nation or are they not? Because I'm pretty sure the Confederates lost. So.
Yep. And also, when you Robert E. Lee statue in some state, they want to take it down in Virginia, but the judge just pushed it back for 10 more days where they could do that. I'm like, what? Why? Take it down now.
You know, you referencing like a fictional show, being Dukes of Hazzard. The whole thing is that this is something that so many people are brought up on, and television is a huge part because it came out. You know, this is a big ordeal that everybody sits together and watches TV together. This is like images that are desensitizing people from the reality of what's actually happening.
Exactly.
And that's like that maintains that privilege and that like haunting need to have this white power. And I say it in quotes because white power is not power. Power is gained respect, not fear.
Exactly.
And you know, that power is just abuse, and that's what it is. It's repetitious abuse. So not understanding the white privilege that comes behind it is, but I mean, that flag represents too much desensitizing to too many people, allowing their minds to think that this is acceptable and this is appropriate and I'm allowed to behave the way that I have. This flag literally represents a colonies of people who wanted to maintain literal slavery. So it's Civil War was in fact over slavery.
Exactly.
And if you think about it, I have access to resources, and I'm sure we'll have them up.
Oh yeah, and like I said before, like, this guy, the video I posted a link, he breaks down. He literally sits down and reads the Constitution for the Confederacy on camera to let you guys know this was about slavery. It was not about anything else but that. They wrote it into the Constitution, in their Constitution. If they would have won that war, we wouldn't have been able to abolish it at all. I would have still. My parents would have never came to this country. They would have stayed in Africa. I wouldn't have been here. Would have been in Africa. They wouldn't have wanted to come here.
I think I just want to like reiterate that this tea is cold. It's fucking cold because you know, we have Civil War, we have Civil Rights Movement, we've had Black Lives Matters has been around. This movement has been around for years.
Mm-hmm.
Since
2013, I think.
The tea is fucking cold.
All right. So now we're gonna talk about something really, really. It's like laughable now because like, why do people keep trying to? So apparently there's like these new Karens popping up that are younger Karens. So they're showing up to a Black Lives Matter protest, and they're just popping up in like some fashion clothing with signs, and they're taking photos and then leaving. I'm like, this is not a fad. It's not like, what are you doing?
This is a movement.
So I call them low fashion Karens because, yeah, exactly. They're like doing a duck face. I'm like, what is this? So people are catching them and they're like, what are you doing? And they're posting the videos, and I'm just like, it's happened too many times already. It's
why
like
are you so dressed up to protest? And where's your damn
right? But there was an actual fake meme that came out about Kylie, not Kylie Jenner. What's her sister's name? The one that's a model. Kendall Jenner. So Kendall Jenner, there was a fake meme that came out where I think it was a photo of her years ago, like doing yay with her arms up, and someone put a fake sign there and put a mask over her face, and then you can see the shadow, and you can tell that she's not holding the sign. So they're trying to make it seem like she was also showing up to. I was like, well, it looked real to me. But
it would be nice if she did, because I know she has a large following. So
yeah, she does. I would love to actually come show. I mean, Kanye West was at a. Speaking of Kanye West, so apparently he lied. He said he lied about being a MAGA to get people out of jail, and he said all the hats he had them thrown away. I was like, did he really do that?
They looked at the record of who he was actually donating money to.
It was Hillary Clinton.
Right. And then he's out there protesting. I'm confused. Kanye has.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that's pretty smart if he actually did that. I mean, but so he's playing 3D chess.
I mean, if the foundation of that is like true,
that's amazing.
Then he played the
largest
hardest game out there. And like,
yes, he got Trump, he got everybody.
He did not care that people were like, I'm done with him. I was like, I'm done. You know, I was like, I'm done with Kanye. Like, I have no interest in his music anymore. And then
I'm like,
I mean, don't
get me wrong. Now. I'm like, is he cool now? Like, am I cool with him now? I don't know.
My best friend was like, I'm always gonna have respect for Kanye, and I'm telling you right now, I think there's a bigger plan. And I'm like,
wait, well, your friend said that before he did that?
Mm-hmm.
So your friend was right too.
Yeah, he's been saying it for years. We've had this whole we've had like around Kanye. And he's always been like, no.
Yeah, but what about when he went to TMZ and he was arguing about how slavery was a choice and all this stuff? You think that was all part of it?
I don't know. I mean, I can't read his mind.
Yeah, no. That's why
I feel like it's pretty complex in there.
Because I was about to call Kanye a freaking Karen. It was, but he got all of us. He got everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody got. All right, cool. So now we're gonna move on to something more serious. So I don't know. So I know most of you guys have been following the Floyd case, and one of the officers, they actually looked at his history, his criminal history, to see if he had one, and he does have one. He's had multiple charges against him, and for some reason he became a cop.
Yeah, this to clarify, this was before he was a police officer.
Yes.
He was charged.
How many charges did he have?
I think not including traffic violations. I'm sorry, I just want to double check my number. I think there was a bunch. Where did it go? I lost it. I feel like there was like a really high number.
Yeah, I think it was like 8 or 9 or something like that. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So now I'm thinking like, how many cops have charges before they become cops?
How many cops get, reports against them and get fired from their department and get hired?
And they go somewhere else. Like literally, no, it's funny you say that because 57 of those cops that resigned or obviously quit and everything in what's this area in Buffalo, New York. They got job offers for Florida to work in Florida, and also the 6 cops that were fired in Atlanta for shocking those students that were coming home from school. They also got job offers in Florida, saying that we'll look out for you guys. I'm like, what?
California is literally flooded with rehired cops with charges, like accused charges and actual charges of rape, of brutality, of murder. Like these cops literally came from somewhere else, and it's like in the system, it doesn't stay in the system for too long. It gets erased after a certain amount of time. So it's like there's like that podcast I was referring to the last time we chatted with Reveal. They have this whole thing on it, and it's super detailed and intense. And
I need to add that link also in the bottom. I'm gonna do that to you. Add that link there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I experienced my own police brutality in the Bay
Area.
Area.
Oh yeah, please. If you don't mind telling the story, please.
Granted, at the time, I'm only 5'1" and I was 105 pounds. We were at a water park. We had a new roommate who had tattoos that we were unaware of, and they were swastikas. And we were leaving the park because the park asked us to leave after 45 minutes of being there. There was some mooning happening, and my partner was thrown against a car without no hands behind his back or anything like that, and he was thrown against a hot car. It's a hot day. We're at a water park in the parking lot, and I was asking what was going on, like where was he going, what do I do? And a cop came up to me and he said, I'll answer your questions. Anyway, he doesn't answer any of my questions. He ends up grabbing me. I had pulled away from him initially because he didn't tell me I was being arrested. So he grabbed me by the back of my hair and slammed me against the car. Jesus. And ended up over 2 different times while I was hogtied and parking the cars like this so that no video was being caught, and putting me in the middle and beating me while my boyfriend was watching. So, I mean, this is like something that could have been completely prevented if there was proper training, or if we weren't hiring cops that were already known for police brutality.
Oh, man.
I mean, the whole justice system is disgusting. I mean, abolish
It's horrible. That's why it needs to be done. Finito.
We haven't even discussed prison
Chop
systems
it up.
yet. We haven't even discussed the prison systems yet.
We haven't. And not just abolishing cops, but also abolishing ICE. Like once this is done, we have to work on ICE also. Because ICE, like even during this pandemic, what's her name? AOC filmed a cop that was an ICE cop transporting people during the pandemic when it was at its height to a detention center. She's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you transferring people? It's a pandemic going right now. He wouldn't answer her questions.
There's still people locked in cages with like
Yeah,
disgusting.
right now there's children and freaking adults in cages.
Babies. I mean, I'm all about the future of the world. Like, I'm all about children, and like this, I like the fact that we, especially during a pandemic where it's like, okay, we're just gonna shove you all in here and crowd you. Like, there's no expediting on what's happening there. Nothing. It's like, okay, we'll just leave them there and be quiet for a while, see what happens. Like, literal children have died in those conditions. It's a disgusting situation. And there's no reason that we should be separating children from their parents. The whole concept of, like, you know, I got that argument with that racist girl a while back about how it was acceptable for a mom who doesn't vaccinate during the middle of a pandemic to take her child to a park where she is choosing to put her in danger for fun. And her argument was that, oh, these people who are coming from Mexico are putting their children in danger by legally asking to come to this country. And I'm sorry, there's survival and there's fun and not wanting to entertain as a parent. Like, exactly. There's no, like, children coming out and not even recognizing their parents. That's heartbreaking. That's trauma. We're inflicting trauma on a new generation because they legally ask for something.
We don't know what this is going to look like in the future, how these kids are going to be in the future, like what they're going to act like. We don't know what all this damage we're just doing to these hundreds of people right now. We have no idea what's going to look like in the future. That's the sad part about it.
Triggers our reactions. It's a chain effect. And like,
that's why, like kind of going back to the guy in Minneapolis, like the fact that he had that record, was able to get hired, and now his lawyer's trying to say, oh, he was only a few days on the job, so, you know, he didn't want this to happen, and he couldn't really see what was going on, even though he was laying on him. He said he didn't see what was going on.
Yeah, I mean.
And then he said he tried to give him chest compressions in the ambulance and everything. It was like, bro, just show us the footage. Like, stop trying to change the narrative. It's not going to work. Like, you guys all were involved. You're an accessory to this.
There is a code that is taught when you're still in school. Putting your knee on someone's neck is against protocol. That is not a normal thing that is acceptable, and we see it everywhere.
Not even in martial arts. Like I did judo for years. You can't do that to nobody. You can't put your knee on someone's neck.
But for some reason, we see it constantly within our police. And it's like, if this man had this criminal record and was a black man, he would have not been hired as a cop.
No.
And not to mention, he would be constantly hunted down.
Yes.
Not being a cop.
Right. I mean, I applied to become a cop earlier this year. I got accepted into the program. And then once I saw this stuff come up, I was like, I don't be a cop no more. But I know that my background is clean. I know I could. It even says when there's a 25 question to give you. They ask you multiple questions. Have you ever had a misdemeanor? Have you ever had this? Have you ever had that? Because it even says if you have anything on your record, we can't hire you. They have to ask you a questionnaire first before you even get to take a test. That's how they screen people out. So I'm like, come on, let's use our brains. Why would you hire someone like this?
A friend years ago who was trying to get into, it was the juvenile department, and she would basically handle cases of children who are in juvenile hall. And they were asking her questions like, have you ever smoked weed before?
Yeah.
And they did a lie detector test on her. And if you came out as lying, you couldn't have the job.
No.
Like.
So I'm like, what is going on? I mean, that's why I know they probably looked at all this stuff in their department and said, let's just get rid of it, because I know there's a lot of stuff they don't want exposed to us. So it's better for them to just abolish it than expose all the dirt that's happening in the police department out there. Yeah. Probably way better to do that.
Don't tell me that all cops aren't that. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of that.
Sorry, what was that?
I said, don't tell me all cops aren't bad. I'm sick of that.
Yeah, that bad apple thing is done.
If
like,
look,
they're all rotten. It's rotten. It's rotten to the core. It started off rotten.
I was saying this the other day, okay? The idea is to protect and serve, right? But once you are into that department, you're all about that uniform. And once you're in that uniform, you're protecting your brothers. You know? And that's...
You know what? Someone said something really interesting on it. They said, I feel like the lie detector test for police is a test to see if you can pass, not if you're truthful. That is freaking accurate. I feel like that is exactly what it is. It's just to see if you'll pass, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like if you're just gonna pass the lie detector test, but not to actually see if you're a good person or not. Because like they just want bodies, and then they always say, police don't make a lot of money. Do you know how much money they're gonna offer me to be a cop in Vegas? Just guess how much money they're gonna offer me to be a cop in Vegas.
I don't want to. You tell me.
$75,000 a year.
Oh, you got to be kidding me! That's more than a chef on the strip.
You guys are liars. They make money.
That's more than a chef on the strip.
Thank you. They make money, and that's just the starting salary. They also get bonuses. Like these guys are making close to $100,000 sometimes. They're not hurting for money. That's a lie. That's a huge lie. But that's just something they say just to say, oh, that's why they're fun. I'm like, it's over, man. It's done. Like, put that money towards things that matter. Put it towards schools. Put it towards things that actually will help people. Like,
I live in a low-income industrial town, and the public schools can't even get enough funding to maintain their proper education in my neighborhood. And there's two.
Right.
So
we know where the funding comes from. It comes from people paying property taxes. But what they don't understand is that all that property tax goes towards a very large pot, and it gets divided up by the what's these people called? I'm blanking right now. It's the what do you call those people?
I just want to know why that money is being used to fund police and not public schools.
Because they know you can hide stuff. You can say, oh, we need new cars. We need this. I'm like, come on, man. You don't need it.
You know what? The public schools need Chromebooks. You know, like this is something that's our future.
They need Chromebooks. They need
look at coronavirus. There's so many people here. The Chromebooks have hotspots. And there's so many people, especially in my neighborhood, that when I spoke to my son's teacher, she was struggling because they didn't have Wi-Fi or they didn't have access to a computer. My computer broke down. I didn't even have access to a computer for a while. It's like, I
mean, hospitals need PPE. I mean, come on. That was a big thing when the coronavirus hit. Oh, the hospitals have no PPE. They don't have this. Because the cops have all the money.
Why? What are they doing?
Like the budget in the LAPD is $1.8 billion. Why do you need $1.8 billion?
So we're cleaning money. We're cleaning money in Vegas. Just so everybody knows, the mob still runs Vegas, and we're cleaning the money. We're doing the laundry through the police.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about merch. So, you know, this is a really big deal for our show because obviously I do all this for free out of my pocket, but when you guys are contributing to the show, so my brother just told me six billion in New York, which is insane. So all the merch that we create, it's all on our website. So if you go to our Instagram page and you click the link tree, a link there, you'll see the shop. You click the shop. I have new shirts coming out. I try to do a new shirt every week sometimes, or sometimes every 2 weeks, depending on what's going on. So we have a new one out right now called Abolish, which is really cool. It's actually a cop in a SWAT outfit, and also riot gear, and it's abolished multiple times. It looks really cool. I also have on the hat as well. And we also
my favorite is the Nah with Rosa Parks.
Oh yeah, that one's so cool. And with that shirt, if you look at the little period on Nah, it's her actual profile there. So it's actually pretty cool.
That's my favorite.
And we have a new one coming out for Harriet Tubman, so that one's gonna be dropping pretty soon too. I'm not gonna tell you what it is yet. Just have to wait to see. But we have some really cool merch. Also, we have some petitions there with NAACP, so we have a link on there for them as well. And also it's a really cool program that they've launched called the Bail Fund. So people that need to get bailed out for certain things, you click that link there as well. You can actually donate to that to help people that are protesting get out of prison and whatnot, so they can actually, get back to being protest. And also people that were wrongfully put in jail as well. That money goes towards that as well too. So I want to thank you guys for contributing to that. So the last topic we're going to talk about today is something historical. It's called Black Wall Street. So just to kind of give you an idea of what Black Wall Street was. Black Wall Street was founded in 1908. It was destroyed in 1921. It had about 600 businesses, 21 churches, 21 restaurants, 30 grocery stores, 2 movie theaters, and 2 private planes. It all got destroyed in 1921.
They were making more money than the average person. Like every individual was making more money than the average person was on minimum wage. It was booming.
Exactly. Booming. And because some jealous white people, let's just say what it was, some jealous white people saw
it was
them.
A huge part of it was the KKK. The Ku Klux Klan. A huge part of it.
Massive part of it. Literally.
And they were seen as vigilantes at this time.
Yeah. So it makes you so upset because it was a huge catalyst to kind of show that Black people got out of slavery. They, got their opportunity to get their American dream. They figured it out. They made it happen, and they were getting themselves going. That's when I hear people say, "Oh, Black people should figure it out and try to pull themselves up and all this kind of stuff." Like we've done that multiple times, and every time we've done that, you guys have destroyed it.
Endlessly.
So how can we keep building ourselves up, but then you have a system called the police coming in and just destroy our stuff? You know what I'm saying? I mean, so it's
Black
like
Wall Street literally burnt and bombed, and people were killed and murdered for being businessmen.
So how can you say people are not working hard and doing what they have to do when they did? They built a whole city.
But you tear it down.
Yeah.
It was like to restore order, aka to maintain white power.
Exactly. White supremacy. That's why this entire system needs to be dismantled, redone, and inclusive of all people.
Right. We need to start from the ground up.
Yeah. We start with the police first.
Yeah. And we're like, we can't do this like we're going to build off of something else that was a foundation that was purely made on the premise of racism. Like
No. It doesn't work anymore.
We are new generations coming in. We're new generations coming in. And I think that our generation is really good about hearing younger generations' voices.
Yeah.
And learning from the older generations and really realizing what we don't want. And I mean, ultimately, our generation eventually is going to be the old generation. And it's the younger generations that we leave with whatever shit we leave behind.
Right.
And I think it's really hard for, especially the boomer generation. I mean, granted, I'm very fortunate. I have amazing people in my life from the boomer generation who are all
your mom is woke.
Right. And it's like, it's tragic to see that we are not collaborating. And I think that we're a newer generation. We want to see a different foundation that creates this country. And we want to share that information, and we want to gain information from the wants and the needs from the younger generations who are also going to eventually be where we are and at this position of what do we do? How do we progress? How do we make this better?
Exactly.
I think it's important
for us to look at what they did, because this is not the first time that we protest also. A lot of people saying, oh, how long is this protest going to last? This protest lasts for 6 months. Some last for a year. And they made changes when they ran those protests. So we can't look at this as like, oh, Like, you know how much has been done in just a few
Look at the
weeks?
civil rights movement. That was
Exactly.
years.
Yes. So there's a lot that has changed in just the last few weeks of this protest. And the protest is not going to stop until we keep going. And a lot of companies, which has been irritating me, have been coming up, joining. So, oh yeah, we're with this. We're with you guys. We see you guys. But they're not giving any detail to what they're going to do to make some changes within their companies, like internally. You can't just say you're with somebody, but then you're not showing what you're doing internally to fix things. Like, are you going to hire more people of color? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that?
That post that you made, actually, the woman who's speaking out about the little girl who was arguing with her parents.
Oh yeah.
And she states in that video that, like, we appreciate the fight. However, stop defending why it is that Black people are living. Stop defending why they so live. And for white allies, it's very important for us to definitely counteract with, why is it that because we're white, we need to maintain this system? Why is it that we have to have these feelings towards these specific people? Like, those conversations need to be had in the homes in order to change people to understand that mindset. It's not about, we can debate all day why, in my opinion, you deserve to live. I can debate that all day. But the question really is why do you think that somebody that looks different than you doesn't deserve to live?
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, why? Like, I'm not sitting around talking about, oh, why should this race do this? We don't have those conversations. We're talking about other stuff that's more futuristic and more, on some other stuff. Like, I'm not thinking about that stuff, For some reason,
like, what, you're a human being on this planet who creates an amount of melanin that is extraordinary and beautiful, and there's no reason that your mind should constantly be focused on, how do I survive today, other than the basic, like, I wanted to buy a new t-shirt today, but I also have rent. There's no reason that you should be struggling to understand, like, it just doesn't make sense for you to walk out the door and constantly be fighting for your life to just walk down the street. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
And I definitely think it's important especially for the younger generations, to be educated. Like, if you are an ally, educate your children. That's a big one for me. And also, if you are a young person out there who is fighting your parents, ask them why they think that way. Ask them why they have those delusions. Ask them why they are trying to corrupt your own mind. Give questions about, why do we think this way?
Right. It's very simple.
Yeah,
because I love that. It's a very odd idea, because it takes you back to, that's probably why they destroyed that city, because they felt that, well, these people don't deserve to have this because they're not really humans. They were former slaves or whatever, so they shouldn't have all this stuff. Like, how did they get all this stuff?
By the way, if I see one more bullshit remark about how you weren't a slave and I wasn't a slave owner, so shut up. Look, trauma has been proven to pass through DNA. So I am tired of people saying that dumb, ignorant shit. That's old. That's old.
It is. At the end of the day, we have to start fixing it. That's all we have to do. We have to say, you know what? Mistakes are made. Here's the reparations. You can start building what you got to build for your family, for yourself. And because at the end of the day, we know the numbers already. Like, we know for every dollar out of a white family's home, that's like negative money out of a Black family's home, a person of color's home. It's just,
and it's worse. It's
a
Black
huge,
women.
major gap.
It's worse for Black women. It's the absolute worst for Black women. I just want to clarify,
there's actually more Black women than men in this country.
All Black women in this world are goddesses. Just to clarify, like, they are literally the backbone of this terrible country that they are not even choosing to be the backbone for. Like,
exactly, because it's like a lot of stuff is thrusted on people, and have to figure it out, and it shouldn't be that way. People just want to survive. People just want to be able to wake up, eat the food, take care of the family if they have one,
Spread
set
their
goals for
love.
themselves. You know, like not be worried about, oh, I gotta act this certain way around a certain person. Why? Just be yourself.
An old friend of mine, her daughter is a YouTuber, and she posted a video today, and I shared it. And she's a young woman, and like young, and she is talking about her experience and even being called the N-word by third grade.
What?
And it's in like seeing her discuss this pain and like talking about wanting to go out in the world and not fear for her life or her friend's life. And it's not like she's not given an advantage, because her mom and her dad have worked extremely hard to give her a life that has more. And it's like, money doesn't make a difference in this situation. And it's genuinely heartbreaking that this affects children even younger than her. Do you remember how old you were when your parents had to give you the talk?
I mean, because to be honest, like my parents are West African, so I was always around other West Africans, so we never really had a talk. It was more so my mom was more focused on, like, just may sound weird because she's a nurse, so she's always more focused on me not, you know, having a child out of wedlock or having a kid too early. So she always told me, you know, make sure that you have your condoms and stuff like that. So it was like
I mean,
it always freaked me out. So I was like, so I was always freaked out to even think about having kids or anything. So she always freaked me out that way, which I always felt was kind of weird growing up, because, you know, like I was always in neighborhoods that were mainly like other black kids and kids that were Latin and everything. So I never had that conversation. It was more so when I went somewhere with this girl I was dating, and we were looking for a restaurant to eat at. So I asked the lady, do you know where Eatery is? And she says, oh, I don't have any change. And that's when I first like felt a racist situation happen right there. Like she saw me and her and assumed that we're asking for money. I'm like, no, I have money. I'm asking where's an Eatery. And I said Eatery. So she was like, oh, my bad. I thought, I'm like, yeah, you thought wrong. So you automatically had an idea in your mind, and then you just assume I'm asking for money. Well, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking for where's an Eatery. And she's like, oh, it's actually over here at the mall. And I was like, you racist ass motherfucker.
I was talking to my cousin about this topic. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
She has three mixed children, and she's talking about her and her husband having to sit down with her son at 12 years old and give an extensive conversation, and starting the conversation as young as 8 years old to help, especially like he's a tall boy. So she's like, even as early as 8 years old, we had to start initiating this conversation of,
Which is sad.
There's a huge possibility of you going out in the world and being hated purely because genetically
your skin,
you have melanin. Like it's tragic. It's tragic for me to think that like I said before, like I am all about the children of the world. I'm a mother. So that is like a number one thing for me. So like any child having to feel that pain or having to go through those experiences, just that trauma alone is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Yes. It breaks my heart that my cousin has to say those things to her children, that she has to warn these beautiful, beautiful, bright people. They're
because that's why this system is going to slowly start to be abolished. Parts of it are horrible. Most of it, that's horrible. And we're going to redo it. We're going to say, we're going to build a new system that's based off of, like, I want it to be all fluffy, but based off of love. Like, people have to say, this is where we have small communities all throughout America. This is how we treat people in these small communities. We don't judge them by how they look. We judge them by their character. We judge them by how they can contribute back to society. And that's it. And then we make it easy for them to be able to contribute back to society. We're not going to make it difficult for one person because another person. We're going to make an even playing field for everybody. And whoever contributes, it's going to be a meritocracy. You know,
I'm not going to say the word that people are going to associate those ideals with, because people are so intimidated by it, but it is a word that I find to be fantastic. I mean, I'm metaphorically burn it the fuck down.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's like it has to go. Like it's time for something new. I'm all for it, and that's why my main focus that I post on my pages are showing people and educating, not just saying because I want to say it, but actually giving people examples, like showing them that yes, we can live in a new society. That's what it looks like. Educate, like showing them these. Look at all the flaws we have. Like I'm not being hyperbolic. This is what's actually happening. We need a change now, ASAP. Yeah. That's it. And once we have a new change, we're gonna have new. Who knows what it's gonna look like? Like we've already seen movies that show the year 2020 is like futuristic, flying cars. Everything's like built with like.
Oh, but we're not there yet. Cool. You know why we're not there? Do you know why we're not there? Because we have to oppress people to feel some sense of power, control.
It's sad. So
let's spend more money on making sure that we can hack people's, sex versus
like so population control. Like, it's like, come on, man, we have to find new ways. So like once we get to that place where everything is just structured, where everybody can win, we're gonna have new stuff, new ideas, new types of fuel, like new everything. It's gonna be great. I'm looking forward to it. Someone said, "You fucking tell them." Like I've been wanting this for years. Like people always thought it was crazy. Like, oh, you're living in some bubble, man. You think everything like you're like a super hippie. Yeah, I'm a hippie. I know I'm a hippie, but it's gonna work.
I'm not a hippie, and I believe in love. And like what?
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Like I'm like a existentialist. Like that's like I'm an existential nihilist. So I believe that everything eventually will burn out because of entropy. Entropy basically states that everything will eventually die. So we might as well just create what we want. So
right.
We're at the 2-minute mark of the show. So I'm gonna just say thanks everyone for watching. Like we usually don't do questions, but if someone does have a question, they can post it. There's a little button on the bottom of your screen. You tap to write a question in. I can answer at least 1 or 2 questions before we close it out. If you guys have any questions for us, or you can write it up on the screen. It's up to you guys. If you have any. If not,
YouTube.
Yeah, it's gonna be on YouTube.
Just to clarify, this ends up on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube's where it's gonna be, so you can share with your friends. All the links and everything we talked about will be there as well, so you can actually watch them and do your own research and learn about things in the past and what's going on currently. So, hey, thanks for tuning in today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends about us. All right.